I'm going to start off looking at the first page. These are, because of their size, are in the 8-pocket sleeves and are uh, displayed sort of on their side as you're looking at the binder. And so I've taken the sheets out of the binder in order to be able to photograph them a little easier, video them, I should say. So we start out with Davy Williams as the number 1 card. I think when I originally bought this card, I was thinking it was going to be Ted Williams, but it's the Giants' second baseman, so that's who we have there. Other players of note on this page: Sam Jethro with the Boston Braves was a Rookie of the Year, and Al Rosen down there in the corner won a batting title and an RBI title. And then later, I think this year, 53, won a home run title and an RBI title. So those are the first cards on the in the set. Turning to the second page, we have a couple Hall of Famers there. Number 1, the card number 9 is Phil Rizzuto in the batting pose that shows up on any number of other cards, including a Stallmeyer card, one of the Red Man Tobacco cards is there. We have Richie Ashburn on the card number 10. Card number 11 is Bobby Shantz. And I'm going to get to the checklist here. Number 12 there in the top right-hand corner is Carl Erskine, a great pitcher for the Dodgers. Number 13, Gus Zernial, a slugger for the Philadelphia Athletics. Number 14, another Dodger pitcher, Billy Lowe's. Billy, kind of an enigmatic guy. When Topps first came out with their archive set, the one player that declined to give his permission to include his photograph, I think it was in the 54 Topps set, archive set, and so his card is not in the set. And then finally, card number 16, there in the bottom right-hand corner, is Bob Friend, the longtime pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And moving over to page 3, we have number 18, card number 18, Nellie Fox, second card on the top row. Card number 17, card number 21, rather. The first card on the left side of the bottom row is Joe Garagiola, looking pretty youthful. By this time, he's on the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think the Cardinals finally figured out that Joe wasn't going to hit too well. And the card number 24 on the far right hand of the bottom row is uh, Jackie Jensen. Jackie Jensen was really should have been a superstar. His career was cut short due to the fact that he just couldn't bring himself to fly. And so those trips out to the West Coast, he just wasn't going to go. Um, so that kind of ended his career. The the next page gives us our old favorite Roy McMillan, the player whose card I always seemed to get early when I was thinking about putting a set together. Next to him is Vic Raschi, who came over to the Yankees and was really instrumental in nailing down that starting rotation for the Yankees with Ed Lopat, Whitey Ford, and Allie Reynolds. Next to Vic is Smokey Burgess. And then in the bottom right-hand corner is Stan Musial. And as you can see, Stan is pretty well loved in this example. It's got a big crease right through the middle of the card. But that's, it's still Stan Musial, so that's the way I look at it. Turning to the next, I'm going to move this around so that you can see it much better. This is the Pee Wee Reese card, card number 33. It does have a crease up there in the bottom, top right-hand corner. This is sort of one of the very first action shots, maybe the first. Some people consider it to be a great card. I know that it's often given by Mike Moriarty as his favorite vintage card, but it's clearly a posed, not opposed, a posed photograph, and but that's it's still kind of an interesting card any way you look at it. Over there on the right-hand side is the car of Hall of Famer Minnie Minoso, and this is I think is a beautiful card. Prominently featuring the bat with Minnie resting his head on the top of the bat, or his chin on his hand on top of the bat. Card number 40, right below Minnie Minoso, is Monty Irvin, and again, or I'm sorry, Larry Doby. Larry is another Hall of Famer, and he's looking contemplative as he gazes out on the field, probably from the dugout, looks like. So moving on to the next page, we have in the top row, third from the left, is Mike Garcia, who was a part of that great Cleveland Indians pitching staff with Bob Lemon, Bob Feller, Mike Garcia, later at the end of Bob Feller's career, Herb Score joined them. These are just fabulous pictures. The first of the combo cards is next, and as you can see, Yogi's well pictured. Hank is in the middle, and Mickey Mantle is sort of shunted to the side there. I wonder if that would have happened a year or two later. Probably not. I think Mickey would have been front and center. There's Yogi's catching gear in the foreground, and we're really not sure what Yogi's doing with his hands, but you can see he's got a big smile on his face, so he's probably trying to be funny. In the bottom row, uh, the first card on the left there is Walt Dropo. He was a rookie of the year at the beginning, obviously at the beginning of his career. Never quite developed into a star, but that's Walt. Next to him, of course, is a star, Roy Campanella. Roy and Yogi, I believe, were both most valuable players in 1953. And then the last card on the right is Hank Sauer, who was a most valuable player in the National League, I think in 52, but don't hold me to that. On the next page, the first card is Eddie Stanky with the St. Louis Cardinals. Two players down, that's Monty Irvin, and this is just a classic Monty Irvin pose with his big smile on his face. Certainly one of the appeared to be one of the happiest of baseball players. Monty, as you know, was sort of instrumental in bringing Willie Mays along. Willie played in center field. Monty played in left field for the Giants. Next to Monty Irvin is Marty Marion at the end of his career, now with the St. Louis Browns. And on the bottom row is Leo DeRocher, who had been manager of the Dodgers and is now manager of the Giants. That's something that Jackie Robinson declined that honor when he was at the end of his career after the 1956 season. He was traded to the Giants, but he retired rather than ever put on the Giant uniform. He was a Dodger through and through, and you have to give him a lot of credit for that. On the next page, we have in the top left-hand corner, that's Lou Boudreau, now with the Boston Red Sox. And then, of course, two cards down, it's a player that really needs no introduction. Mickey Mantle. This is certainly a gorgeous card of the Mick. In the second row, George Kell on the left, another Hall of Famer. The big batter slugger for the Cincinnati Reds, Ted Kluszewski. Next to Ted is Gil McDougall, who was Rookie of the Year in 1950. This is again an exceptionally good-looking card. And next to Gil McDougall is Curt Simmons, one of the tough left-handed pitchers for the Phillies. And on the right-handed side, of course, we have Robin Roberts as the first card on the next page. Next to Robin Roberts is the stalwart pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, Mel Parnell. And then on the right-hand side, I've already mentioned Allie Reynolds, one of the anchors of the Yankee pitching staff back in the early 50s. I think I mentioned in a previous video, 1951, Allie Reynolds pitched 2 no-hitters. They weren't back-to-back like Johnny Vandermeer, but still 2 in one season, a really remarkable achievement. And some common cards there at the bottom of the page. Moving over to the next page, we have Billy Pierce with the Chicago White Sox, terrific left-handed pitcher in the 50s and on into the 60s. And card number 78, the Brooklyn Dodgers right fielder, Carl Furillo. Ray Boone next to him, a father of Major League player Bob Boone and grandfather of several other Major League players, including the current Yankee manager. Some speculate maybe in his final season with the Yankees. And then next to him, of course, is Ralph Kiner. This would have been the year of Ralph's 7th consecutive home run title in the either outright or sharing it. So then moving on to the next page. In the top corner, left-hand corner, is Enos Slaughter, Hall of Famer. On down that page at the right-hand corner is the previously mentioned Hank Bauer, not a Hall of Famer, but certainly an instrumental part of the Yankee teams in the 50s. He's the guy whose the axe fell on after the Copacabana incident. They couldn't get rid of Mickey Mantle or Whitey Ford, but somebody had to go, and it turned out to be Hank Bauer and Billy Martin. So next to finishing out that page are some relatively common cards, which we won't belabor. Moving on to the next page, we'll mention card number 90, the second card on the top row. That's Joe Nuxall, the old left-hander, still considered to be the youngest player ever to appear in a Major League Baseball game at age 15. He didn't last too long with his appearance there, but he did come back and have a nice Major League career and then a long, long broadcasting career with the Cincinnati Reds. And he's signed off his broadcast was the old left-hander rounding third and heading for home. Joe was known to enjoy a cold beverage in the broadcast booth from time to time. So, in the right-hand corner, that's Gil Hodges, and this card I purchased very early in my card collecting career. I think this was either the winter of 1986 or 87. And I bought it along with a 1954 Bowman Mickey Mantle card. These are I believe I paid $55 if I remember correctly for both of them, 40 for the Mantle and 15 for the Hodges. I really liked both of them. I thought they were terrifically looking cards. I was very intrigued by the Bowman cards, which I didn't know very much about at that time. Of course, Bowman was out of business by the time I got interested in baseball cards around age 6 in 1959. So I never experienced them as a kid collecting, and didn't know much about them at the time I got these two cards. But both of them have had tape marks on them, as you can see. The 54 Bowman Mantle, which we'll see in another video later on, also has a tape mark with some paper loss on the top of it. And I did upgrade that card, but I haven't upgraded this one yet. The second of the two combo cards is in the bottom row of the first card, and that's Billy Martin and Phil Rizzuto, one Hall of Famer and one guy who maybe ought to be a Hall of Famer but isn't. So that's card number 95. The second from the right is Wally Moses with the Philadelphia Athletics. He was a coach at this time. And Sal Magley, the barber, next to him. Sal Magley is the pitcher, I believe, that I think he later went to the Brooklyn Dodgers. I called him the barber because he liked to pitch inside somewhere in the vicinity of the players' heads. So they called him the barber for giving players a close shave. The next card number 93, is, of course, Eddie Matthews. Would be a very pretty card, but for the tape mark at the top and the little piece of the little soft corners at the top of the card. But again, they are original Bowman cards of Hall of Famers, so I make really no apologies for the condition of Eddie Matthews. Two cards down is in even worse condition is Hall of Famer Warren Spahn. Was completely missing the top left-hand corner of that card. But otherwise, it looks like pretty nice, actually. So again, I make no apologies for him. Uh, and then in the bottom row, that's Red Schoendienst, the Hall of Famer with the St. Louis Cardinals. Jim Hegan is a catcher with the Cleveland Indians here. He later was the father of Mike Hegan, who was a player and I believe went on to be a coach with the New York Yankees. And then next to him, of course, is Del Ennis, who was really a star. Not a, I guess you would consider him to be a minor star, maybe, but he really was an anchor of the Phillies for many years. And I remember somebody remarking one time that, the Phillies had a reputation, the Phillies fans had a reputation for being really tough, not only on opposing team players, but on their own players. And they said to illustrate the point, they said they once booed Del Ennis for getting old, which I thought was uh, a bit humorous, but probably not humorous to Del. Next to Del Ennis is luscious Luke Easter, a very big man and a very good slugger with the Cleveland Indians. And then moving on to the next page, we have 4 common players on the top row. And also on the bottom row, again, 4 relatively common players. So we won't spend too much time looking at them. The first player of note, this is kind of wish this picture was a little bigger. It's a great action pose of Bob Feller at coming down to the end of his career with the Cleveland Indians. He was on the 1954 team uh, that went to the World Series and lost to the New York Giants. Next to Bob Feller, not remarkable necessarily for his own career, but this is a pitcher, Cloyd Boyer, who was brother of Clete Boyer and, of course, Ken Boyer. Down in by the way, this is the first page of the high number series, and I mention that because the first another Hall of Famer, and not the first one, but another Hall of Famer down in the bottom left-hand corner is, of course, Duke Snider with a big grin on his face. So then we've got Billy Martin next to him, and Dale Mitchell, still with the Cleveland Indians. Of course, he was later traded to the Brooklyn Dodgers and achieved some measure of fame as being the last out in Don Larson's perfect game, World Series perfect game. So next we come to a card in very bad shape, but a fairly expensive Yogi Berra card because it is in that high number series. And it's really, again, a beautiful card. He's got the catcher's gear there in front of him as he sits on the steps of the dugout. Got writing on it, a couple big creases through it. My 53 Bowman set is not the set that I have in the best condition, but man, it's expensive. It's an expensive set. So I had to sacrifice some quality in order to get the set completed. There at the end of the end of the first row is Chuck Dressen, the manager for the Brooklyn Dodgers. This would be his final team that the next year they didn't make it to the World Series, and he was let go because he just apparently wanted too much money, and that saw the first year in 1955 of Walt Alston's long tenure as the Dodger manager. So in the bottom row, we really have some fairly common cards, although the last card on this page is Whitey Lockman for the Giants, and he went on to have a major league coaching career, as well as being the right fielder for the Giants during the 50s. The last card in the next page, last card on the top row, is Fred Hutchinson, who was coming down to the end of his playing career. He later achieved some fame as the manager of the Cincinnati Reds. Unfortunately, his managing career was cut short by cancer, which claimed his life. In the bottom left-hand corner is Willie Pudd'nhead Jones, one of the Philadelphia players of the 1950 Whiz Kids. Next to him is the Boston Red Sox shortstop Johnny Pesky. And in the bottom right-hand corner, Jim Breitwieser of the New York Yankees. And moving on to card number 139, the Washington Senators, Pete Reynolds. The 1941 Washington Senators card of Spec Shea, earlier in his career, a Yankee pitcher. 1943, Al Lopez, manager at the end of his playing career. And moving on to George Shotgun Shuba, card number 145. I met George Shuba up in Strongsville, Ohio, when he was there as a guest, and he had written a book which I bought and which he autographed. So next to George Shuba with the Cleveland Indians is Early Wynn, the fourth of the great Cleveland Indians pitching staff of the mid-50s. And then on the bottom row, second from the right, is Joe Adcock. Joe Adcock was a ferocious slugger, one of the very few players to hit the ball over the wall in the deepest part of center field in the Polo Grounds. And the last page in the 1960 or 1953 color set of 160 cards is Whitey Ford, card number 153. Uh, and on the last page, the bottom row, is Washington Center's hitter, batter, great batter, Mickey Vernon, who won the batting title this year, I believe, edging out Al Rosen for the batting crown and costing Al a shot at the Triple Crown. So that's the 1953 color set. And next we'll turn our attention to the 1953 black and white official Bowman set and the extension set put together by Blue Jacket 66's dad, and with some help for the Blue Jacket 66 to get that done. So the first card in the set, in the colors, the black and white set, is Gus Bell, and two doors down from Gus Bell is Bill Rigney, who went on to be a longtime manager in the major leagues. Down there near the bottom, or near the end, is Andy Semenuk, one of the Whiz Kids, a catcher with the Philadelphia Phillies. And moving on to the next page, we have Dick Sisler, the son of George Sisler, as the second card there in the St. Louis Cardinals uniform. Then moving on down the row, we have in the underneath Dick Gernert in the second row, two from the right, is Hall of Famer Johnny Mize. And then on to the next page, we have card number 22 in the catching gear. On the left-hand side of the bottom row is Matt Batts, who had been the catcher for the Boston Red Sox during the years where the Red Sox were pretty good, contending for pennants. Unfortunately, not winning any, but a great story about Matt Batts. He was hanging out by the batting cage, watching Ted Williams hit line drive after line drive to left field, and at the end of his batting, hitting line drives to left field, Ted turned around to Matt Batts and said, "You see that, Batts? I can hit a line drive. I can hit the left field whenever I want to, but they don't pay me to hit the left field." And of course, he was referring to the Williams shift, where the shortstop would move over to the other side of second base to try to, in case Ted hit a ground ball, they had a better chance of fielding it. And then next to Matt Batts is a pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals who later was traded to the Pittsburgh Pirates and was on the 1960s team, Vinegar Bend Mizell, who also achieved some notoriety as a Republican congressman from South Carolina. I missed out on getting his autograph at a Pittsburgh reunion show of the 1960 team, as Mizell was ill at the time and later passed away shortly thereafter. But that's Vinegar Bend Mizell. The next player that I want to point out to you is the first card on this page, and that is pitcher with the Boston Braves, pitching coach with the New York Yankees, Johnny Sain, and the next card down the line to Johnny Sain is Preacher Rowe, left-handed pitcher with the Brooklyn Dodgers, considered to be one of their better staff members. Next to him is Hall of Famer Bob Lemon with the Cleveland Indians, one of those four great pitchers. And next to Bob Lemon is Hoyt Wilhelm, Hall of Famer with the New York Giants, a great relief pitcher. Next to Hoyt Wilhelm, or on the next row, the second from the left is Walker Cooper, catcher for the Boston Braves. And next to him is Gene Woodling. This card is in terrible shape with Scotch tape holding it together, I think. But I may upgrade some of these cards at some point. I've had these cards for quite a long time. And next to him is Rocky Bridges, who I would remind you was a outfielder for the Pittsburgh Pirates, our first baseman. And he hit a home run in the seventh game of the World Series. People all remember, well, I'm sorry, it wasn't Rocky Bridges, it was Rocky Nelson. So anyway, but people don't remember him hitting a 3-run homer in the seventh inning. That they do remember is Bill Mazeroski hitting one in the bottom of the ninth inning. I'm sorry, I'm getting all tongue tied there. The next page is over on the right-hand side of the page, the top row is Jimmy Pearsall with the Boston Red Sox. He was the autobiographical author of the book Fear Strikes Out, which they made into a movie starring Anthony Perkins as Jimmy Pearsall. Let's just say that Anthony Perkins did not look like a Major League Baseball hitter whenever he was filmed doing a batting scene. And over in the bottom row, card number 39 is Casey Stengel. So that's I think he's the last Hall of Famer. Not 100% sure, but we'll go with that until proven differently. Down at the bottom left hand corner, this is Irv Noren, who played in the outfield and some at first base, I believe, with the Yankees in 1953. Made it to the World Series. I like the card of Steve Ridzik, who was with the Philadelphia Phillies. This is his rookie card. I just think that's a kind of a neat pose with him grinning, holding the baseball like that. So we like that one. Card number 51, the second card from the right on the top row, is Lou Burdett. Lou Burdett would go on to fame and fortune with the Milwaukee Braves. Here he's with the Boston Braves, same team, different city. When he won 3 games in the 1957 World Series to lead the Braves in that regard. And next to him is Ralph Branca, who also made it to the World Series. And in 1951, did not make it to the World Series, but rather gave up the game-ending home run in Game 3 of the playoffs with the New York Giants. The shot heard around the world by Bobby Thompson. By all accounts, both really nice men, and really did the baseball card show circuit. There's quite a large number of photographs and baseballs that are signed by both Bobby Thompson and Ralph Branca, because they very often appeared together. That's and now we come to the final page of the 1953 Bowman Black and White series. The first card there is Andy Pafko, who you know was traded to the Braves, or traded from the Braves, I guess. No, to the Braves. Anyway, he was card number 1 in the 1952 Topps set, which made him famous, at least among baseball card collectors. Next to him is the most valuable player of the 1950 season, Jim Constanti, the Philadelphia reliever for the Whiz Kid teams. On the right-hand side is Brooklyn Dodger third baseman Billy Cox. Prior to the coming of Brooks Robinson, Cox was considered to be one of the finest third basemen ever. And then we finish out the 1960 set with, some relatively common cards. So now we're going to look at the set that was not an official Bowman set, but still is really a pretty interesting set. You see them for sale even now on eBay, and that's where I got this one. I got it before I knew what it was. I didn't know what it was, but I thought it was interesting, and it numerically these 16 cards finish out the set of Bowman black and whites, taking it from 64 to 80. And these are great players. Monty Irvin, Robin Roberts, Stan Musial, Ernie Banks, Willie Mays, Yogi Berra, Mickey Mantle, and that's just on the first page. The one I missed was Early Win. I didn't recognize him, but obviously 300 game winner and Hall of Famer. On the next page, we've got more Hall of Famers. Whitey Ford, not in his usual pose, thank goodness. It's Bob Feller, Ted Williams, Satchel Paige, Jackie Robinson, Eddie Matthews, Warren Spahn, and Ralph Kiner. So, again, 16 Hall of Famers that could have been in this set, should have been in this set, but weren't in the black and white set. So, missed opportunity there for Bowman. And that concludes the look at my 1953 Bowman cards, real and imagined. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you do like this sort of video, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Like this video. And in the meantime, this is Rocket Rick J18, wishing that all your collecting dreams come true.